On Bristol News, Equal Opportunities, the new scheme to help local kids get into city uni. And winter warning as norovirus spreads across the city, tips on how to stay germ-free. So during the conversation, use the hashtag Bristol News. Hello and welcome to the programme. Bristol University are lowering entry grades to help disadvantaged students get a place at university. It's part of a drive to get young people from poorer families to apply for university and to improve social mobility. Just a warning, the following report contains flash photography.
A room filled with potential. In a world where social gaps are increasing, uni entries of 18-year-olds from the most disadvantaged UK areas are the highest in 10 years. And now the new Bristol Scholars scheme is hoped to give this trend momentum.
Giving each school in the city 5 guaranteed places at our university, working in partnership with the schools to identify students as early as possible, looking at students in the round, so to some extent disassociating their achievements in other areas from A-levels. So looking at their achievements in the round, looking at their potential, and then putting together the wraparound supports, academic and otherwise, to ensure that they will thrive in our university.
With UK university fees becoming an increasingly towering hurdle, central government does still seem to be taking heart in the latest figures from UCAS and the potential of this new pilot scheme.
We want to make sure that that's an opportunity open to all young people, especially those from more disadvantaged backgrounds who we know are less likely to be able to go. We've seen a higher proportion of them heading off to university now than ever before. We've seen more numbers of them going to university than ever before, but there's still a lot more work to be done. And universities like Bristol, I think, may be showing the way in some of how we can innovate different approaches to open those doors of universities even more.
The problem of social divide isn't confined to our shores, though, and as the UK takes in more students from abroad, the impact that something like the Bristol Scholars Scheme could have on global society seems increasingly important.
Unfortunately, in many countries around the world, the gaps are increasing. And also the gaps between poor and rich, between those who have easy access to education and those who don't. So gaps, in fact, are mainly increasing, unfortunately, so we need more of the initiatives that we see taken in Bristol here today.
And while there's a possible global impact the Scholars Scheme could have, it's needed just as much at home too.
Things in Bristol reflect things in the world, that as the way that globalisation, the way that economic development has taken place, inequalities increase. That is the dilemma at the future, at the heart of modern day city development, as to how we crack this challenge.
The Bristol Scholars Scheme is the first of its kind in the UK, and as the first nominees brace themselves for the future, the excitement is palpable.
It's taken a long time. I think I was kind of iffing and amming about whether I wanted to go to university in general, and then from about this time last year, it's all been full steam ahead.
England has seen an increase in uni entries from disadvantaged areas every application cycle since 2006, with that group now being 73% more likely to enter university than 10 years ago. That said, schemes like Bristol Scholars are still needed, signalling the amount of work required to further bridge social divide. I'm Ed for Made in Bristol TV.
Great Western Railway train cleaners will be striking for 2 days ahead of Christmas after a dispute over pay. Members of the Railway Maritime and Transport Union voted in favour of strike action, which will see a walkout from 6 a.m. on Friday, December 16th and again on Friday, December 23rd. The dispute also surrounds concerns about annual leave and provision of safety clothing.
350 workers are demanding better parity with cleaning workers actually employed by Great Western, because at the moment they get no sick pay, they get no overtime rates, they get no shift rates. They're actually devoid of any real terms and conditions comparable to Great Western workers. There's 2 days of strike action planned at the moment, but unless the dispute is resolved, it's going to continue into the new year, and more dates and more strike action will take place.
What disruption then is this expected to cause?
Well, these are cleaning workers, they're not train drivers, so the intent in its action really is to disrupt, and it will cause the fact of unclean trains and passengers having to probably deal with less clean trains than they have to. But it's more about putting pressure on Great Western to do the right thing now and put some pay fairness in place for these cleaners who are not treated the same as their own workers, and that's unfair. Well, we are hoping that Sylvest and Great Western still come to us with a solution, because we've not asked them for anything they can't give, because we know Great Western give it to their own employees, so they can give it. So this dispute is easily resolvable, and we are happy to negotiate any time with we've been negotiating since April. So it's a long time. We've been patient, but our members, it's a 98% vote for strike action amongst low-paid workers just before Christmas. These people are very angry that they're being treated this way.
In a statement, GWR said, "We are aware that contract staff at Sylvest, which carries out cleaning on board our trains, are planning to take industrial action later this month. We do not expect this to affect our services and strongly encourage both parties to continue discussions to resolve the dispute." Now, there's around 1 million people in the UK who will spend Christmas alone, according to the Age UK charity. And here at home, a project is making sure that number is reduced across the city. The Abbeyfield, Bristol and Keynsham Society is offering festive lunches for free in the run-up to Christmas. Rachel's been to see how those over the age of 65 aren't missing out on the Christmas spirit.
Having lost someone, then yes. And if you're on your own, it is bad. Well, the worst one was the first Christmas I lost my husband, and that was lonely. But having said that, I have a wonderful family, a marvellous daughter here in Bristol, so I was very well looked after, and the hurt wasn't quite as bad as it would have been.
Christmas is a special time of year when we surround ourselves with family and friends. But sadly, for many older people, this just isn't possible, and they find themselves facing Christmas alone.
I love Christmas, always have. It's a family time, isn't it? And I know a lot of people don't have families, so it's not as good for them as it always has been for me with a family. I mean, here, I've never lived in a community, and this house is absolutely lovely. And to have people around you, which those people on their own obviously haven't, it would be wonderful, yes.
But there's one community organisation in our city trying to combat loneliness by flinging their doors open and offering a free festive lunch with all the trimmings.
Well, we at Abbeyfield are opening up all of our 5 houses on the 11th and 18th of December for Sunday lunch to invite people in from the local community. It's something, we're part of a national organisation, the Abbeyfield Society, which was originally set up to alleviate loneliness. That was the core aim of it. And everything that we do is about bringing people together and trying to enhance the quality of life for older people, and that's what we want to do, particularly at Christmas. And why stop at Christmas?
Unfortunately, all across the UK there will be a lot of people eating alone this Christmas. Almost 1 million elderly people aged 60 or over feel lonelier during the festive period compared to the rest of the year, with more than 1 in 4 people saying they can't wait for Christmas to be over.
For many people, it is a lonely time of year, and strangely, for some people, Christmas has always, for many, been associated with good times and families and things like that. So, a lot of older people, if they've suffered bereavement, will find Christmas a really difficult time. So sometimes, even if you ask a lonely person in for Christmas, they won't want to come, because for some, that they don't want to have that Christmas without the family that they used to have. But for many other older people, they would be absolutely delighted to be involved in other people's Christmas celebrations, because it is a cold, depressing time of year.
So with a small act of kindness, whether it's a card, a visit or even a good old Christmas dinner, will make a big difference for an older person facing loneliness during this festive period. I'm Rachel for Made in Bristol TV.
Now, with temperatures dropping, people in Bristol are being asked to help stop the spread of the winter vomiting bug, norovirus. Over the past month, there have been twice as many community outbreaks reported in the southwest compared to last year, mainly in care homes, nurseries and schools. Health experts suggest washing your hands properly and staying away from public spaces.
At the moment, we have experienced a almost doubling of notifications of this infections in hospitals, nursing homes and elsewhere. This is not unusual, but we have noticed a doubling compared to last year. What I would always advise members of the public and clinicians and others involved in sensitive areas is always wash your hands, and to wash your hands thoroughly. So what I mean is you don't just wash your fingers, you wash the palm of your hand, your fingers, in between your fingers, as well as the back of your hand, and you do a thorough job of washing it with soap and warm water. Unfortunately, alcohol gel does not work for norovirus. And in any case, alcohol gel is only useful on otherwise clean hands. After washing your hands, it's equally important to dry it. So dry, clean hands don't pass the infection on. That done, my advice number 2 to members of the public would be, if you have had an influenza-like illness or a diarrheal type illness, at this time of the year, it would be really beneficial to the National Health Service, nursing homes and workplaces if you didn't come to work. Please stay away for at least 48 hours after you have become symptom-free from your illness.
Hello, I'm Lucy and you're watching Bristol News, bringing you the biggest stories from across the city. There's plenty more to tell you about, including Tinder trouble. Police join Tinder to try and make dating apps safer. And Talking Trans, charity reveals record number of calls to its helpline. Comment on the stories so far, get in touch, #Bristol News.